Welcome back. You are tuned in to Trader's Nation. My pleasure to have with us here today book author Brent Peterson. He co-authored Fake Work, Why People Are Working Harder Than Ever But Accomplishing Less, and How to Fix a Problem. Brent, welcome to Trader's Nation. How are you today?
Hey, I'm just great. It's good to be with you.
Good, good. Brent, why do people spend so much time doing so little work? I mean,
it's almost the opposite of that. They spend a lot of time doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's just that the work is fake.
It's fake.
Yeah, let me give you an example of what I mean. There's a Danish TV advertisement which shows a guy who goes out into the street in a heavy snowstorm, and his car's covered with snow, and he goes out and he doesn't have any way to clean the windows, and he works, and he finally breaks 2 credit cards trying to get it cleared, and he finally gets the car cleared and stands back and pushes the button on his key.
Yeah.
And the lights blink on the car next to him.
The wrong car.
And he did the wrong car. And that's, I think, a fairly good example that explains what we're talking about when we talk about fake work. It's people are working hard. It's just they don't know what they should be doing in many, many instances. Right. So that's what we're talking about. When we talk about fake work, we're saying, hey, this is work that people ought to be doing.
Right.
That's not getting done within organizations.
All right, so fake work is completely different than from, let's say, busy work. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree 100% that it's different than busy work. I mean, busy work stuff and a lot of people in organizations, particularly people 40 and older, come out of a mindset that says, I've got to appear to be working hard all the time.
Right. All right.
And so they do all kinds of fake work or the kind that you just mentioned. Sure. And it really doesn't help the organization, but it makes them think that their bosses think they're working.
Right. What's the root problem of fake work? Because let's face it, to me that almost signals that management or ownership, they're not given proper direction, or maybe they're not doing it enough to where maybe they're not circling back around enough to keep everybody on the right path.
You're right on top of it. That's what fake work's about. We find that there's a ton of money being spent to create great strategies within organizations, and they come up with a very nice strategic goals that they want to accomplish in a given time period.
Sure.
But what we find from our research is that people working in the organizations don't know what those goals are.
Right.
And they don't know what the strategy is. And when we find a few that do know, they don't know what to do when they come to work every day that would influence that strategy.
Sure.
And so it is. It's a management problem. It's a top leadership problem as much as anything, because they're not teaching the people what they need to do to get the results that the organization wants.
Right.
And so you got people working all over doing all kinds of things, and even another. I just finished talking to a large university chain recently, and I just asked them, I said, well, here's the definition. Do you guys do fake work?
And what'd they say?
And I couldn't shut them up.
Yeah.
I almost lost the whole audience. They got so caught up in giving examples.
Sure.
And the kind of examples they were coming up with in the university setting was they were saying, we have all of these reports we have to submit to let people know we're doing work.
Yeah.
And so it just happened that the president of the university there, and so we asked him, we said, well, what do you do with those reports?
Yeah. Well,
and he said, I've never even seen those. I didn't know we did those reports.
Do we even have those anywhere? Listen, it's costly for companies, isn't it? We can start getting into overruns or maybe even organizational stagnation. Okay?
Yeah.
So
it does 2 things. It costs the organization money.
Yeah.
And it costs the people self-esteem because they know they're doing fake work.
Yeah.
They would like to do more work.
Sure.
That would help the company. In our research, we found that 50%, that's on the average, many organizations are a lot worse, of the work being done in corporate America today is fake work.
Yeah, that's devastating. I mean, that does go to the bottom line. And in many ways, one way, of course, stagnation is where a project, let's say given a given project, it takes longer for that project to be done. Okay?
That's right.
It costs the company money. And it may even cost, for instance, if it's a project to get out onto the market, it could cost them market space. I mean, it's devastating, isn't it? Fake work is that?
Yeah, you're really touching what it's about. I mean, I was with a pharmaceutical company not too long ago.
Yeah.
That kept a drug in research knowing full well it would never come out.
Yeah.
And they spent millions, literally millions of dollars to pay all these scientists and everybody that were doing research on that thing.
Yeah. When
they could have just faced up to it and said, hey, let's save some money and move on to a new project.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, now strategy's got to be, all right, so management gets together, strategy has got to be a way, or at least one basic ingredient to get that fake work out of the system and get into real work. Would you agree with that?
That's 100% what it's about. If we could change an organization, if we could help them reduce their fake work by 10%, I mean, I just was working with a company down in Texas the other day, and if we could get them to reduce their work, and we did in this particular situation, it literally saves millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And above all, it saves jobs.
Right.
You know, we're in an economy that's really crunched right now, and employees are worried about their work. Well, if they could figure out how to do more real work, they would help the organization and they would help themselves. And that's really what our book's about, is trying to help people stop and say, hey, what can I do that would change this situation?
Well,
and how can I talk to my leaders? It's also the leaders to tell them, hey, you've got to figure out how to get every employee that works for you aligned with your strategy, so they're doing things which make a difference.
And make sure that your strategy is clear and it's understandable, correct? I mean, because let's face it, misunderstanding that strategy, employees may not realize that they're in the midst of fake work, will they? I mean,
that's the problem. They're working. They're working their tails off. They're doing all kinds of work.
Yeah.
But it's not work that needs to be done. It's not their fault.
Yeah. Now, is it true that many habitual practices make up fake work? I mean, so is it a matter of not only strategy but breaking the cycle of habitual practices that make up fake work?
That's a good description of habitual practices. Things we do habitually.
Yeah.
And we've done because everybody's done it forever.
Sure.
If you continue to do that, you're going to continue to do fake work, and so we try to look for those kinds of situations when we're working with organizations and companies to see what they're doing that they've been doing for. People will say, "Hey, man, I've done it for 25 years. Why should we change?"
All right, so let's talk about changing. How can companies avoid really the road to nowhere? Basically fake work. I mean, there's got to be a way. We got to start getting these people turned around and get them on the same page, get them to actually understand that strategy. What's one good example of that, Brent?
I'll give you a good example. Our publishing company, when they decided to do this book, and we were sending it in and they were reading it and so forth, all of a sudden realized that they do a lot of fake work. And so what they decided to do was, in every meeting that they had, at the end of the meeting, they would stop and say, now, how much of this is fake work and how much of it's real work, and what should we do or not do?
Right.
Now that's just an awareness process. We find that if companies just stop and think about it, like we're talking right now, that's probably the single best thing that they could do. If a CEO who wants to make a difference would just stop. And actually, we have an analysis that we do for organizations.
Yeah.
But if they would stop and look at that data, you know, when they start getting data that 87% of workers are not happy with their work each week.
Yeah.
When they find that 73% of workers don't even know what the strategic goals are or what they could do about it.
So some of that fake work. Listen, we got about 30 seconds, but some of that fake work could be just simply, like you said, they're not happy. There's no motivation there.
Yeah, they lose their motivation when they don't feel that they're doing something that's meaningful.
All right, where can
we
find
helping the company?
Where can we find fake work today? Barnes & Noble,
you
Amazon?
can buy fake work in all the major bookstores, Barnes & Noble, Borders, or you can get it on Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble.
Fantastic. Brent Peterson is our book author today. Brent, we do appreciate your time. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
More than welcome.